And we're back. In today's lesson, we actually have two grammar lessons, okay? We have two grammar lessons today. They are very similar to each other, so don't worry. Now, let's read the examples. If it rained, I would invite everyone to lunch. Number 2, if I had superpowers, I could travel the world, all right? Now, from the examples that we have, you can notice, you would realize actually that today's grammar is about conditional sentences, right? So let's answer the questions here so we would realize what type we're talking about. When do the sentences happen? And how many clauses do we have? Can we switch? Now, how many clauses do we have, people? You can see that we have two clauses, right? In all conditional sentences, we have two clauses. The first clause or the first part is called the if clause or the condition clause, and comma, we can see the comma, and then we have the main clause or the result clause, right? Now, let's look at the first part, the if clauses. When do they happen? What tense are we using in here? We have ed, right? So you would realize that we're using the past tense, right? Next, if I had superpowers, had here is the past of have. So again, with the if clause, we're using the past tense, right? Next, the main part, what do we notice? We have the pronoun and then we have would plus the base form of the verb plus the infinitive of the verb, right? The bare infinitive. In the next example, we have I could travel the world. Pronoun, then could, then the base form of the verb. Finally, and most importantly, before that, we said, can we switch? And the answer is yes. We can start actually with the main part and then the F clause, right? But in that case, if we started with the main part, we are going to delete the comma. We are going to get rid of the comma. So we can say, I would invite everyone to lunch if it rained, right? Now, to what we were saying, the most important question that tells us what type of sentences this is, are they real? Now, looking at the weather today, just look outside your window. Do you think that it's going to rain? Do you think that there's any possibility? Can you see any clouds that tell you that today is going to rain? Of course not. And now, number 2. If I had superpowers, is there any chance that you might acquire superpowers, that you might get them or buy them somewhere? Of course not. So the answer is no. They are not real. And this is today's grammar. Conditional sentences type 2. Okay? Conditional sentences type 2. We use type 2 to talk about hypothetical situations, okay? Unreal situations. Hypothetical in Arabic means افتراضية, okay? Unreal situations, which means غير واقعية, غير حقيقية, or imaginary situations, خيالية, things that are never going to happen, okay? Things that are impossible, okay? So there is no way you're going to get superpowers, and there's no way that today we're going to have any rain, okay? So with type 2, with conditional sentences type 2, we're going to use the past tense, okay? With the if clause, and with the main clause, we're going to use would or could plus the base form of the verb. Now, people, it would be a very good idea if you would go to Unit 2 and revise conditional sentences type 1. When we took that lesson, we have spoken briefly about type 0. Remember? We said type 0 is the type that talks about the facts, right? That talks about scientific things, like if I smelt it becomes water, right? We said with this kind of sentences, with type 0, we're always going to use present simple, right? But with type 1 in unit number 2, we said that we use it to talk about real situations, right? Things that are very probable, things that might actually happen. Like if you study hard, you might succeed, right? Or if you study hard, you will, or you might, or you may get the full mark, right? It's very probable. If you really studied really hard, you might get the full mark. And in type 1, we're going to use present simple plus could or can, right? Or may or might, remember? Plus the base form. But in conditional sentences type 2, you're going to focus whenever you're reading the sentence. You're going to think about the context. Is it real? Is it scientific? Or is it imaginary and impossible? Okay? So if it was impossible, you're going to use type 2, and you're going to use the past simple with the if clause, and could or would plus the base form with the main clause or the result clause. I hope I'm clear. So we said that we use this kind of sentences with hypothetical situations, or actually, number 2, we could use this kind of sentences when we are giving an advice to someone. Whenever you are in trouble, your friend would say something like, if I were you, I would listen to my parents, right? So what do you notice in here? We always use were, okay, after the pronoun. No matter what the pronoun is, you're going to use were, because normally and usually whenever we're speaking about the past, we use was, right? I was hungry, so I ate. I was tired, so I slept, right? But in conditional sentences type 2, whenever you're using F and it's type 2, you're going to use were after the pronoun. Okay? After I, after you, after they, after he or she. I've given you more examples. If she were younger, she could or she would remarry. She would marry again. She would take another husband, okay? So if she were younger, is there any chance that you might go back in time, or she might go back in time and become younger? Of course not. So we're going to use were because this is type 2. If he were richer, maybe you're talking about your friend, maybe you're talking about your father or brother, and you know that they are not very rich. So you're going to say, if he were richer, he could quit his job, okay? So it's always were with conditional sentences type 2, and you're only going to use could or would plus the base form of the verb, okay? So now let's try to apply in here. If I blank a boy, actually there is a song, it's Beyonce's, it's called If I Were a Boy, okay? And I accidentally said the answer, okay? So yes, if I were a boy, there is no way that you're going to become a boy. All right, okay. If I blank $1 million, I would buy an island. Is there any chance that you might win $1 million? Of course, it's impossible unless you join that show. Who's going to win the $1 million? من سيربح المليون, right? There is a show called that. So you're going to use the past of the tense, okay? You're going to use past simple. It's never going to be present. It's never going to be the future, or again, present in here if it was he, she, all right? It's always the past. Finally, if I were you, I'm giving you an advice now. I blank smoking. I give up smoking. I will give up smoking. I gave up smoking, or I would give up smoking. Focus. I'm saying if I were you, is there any chance that I might become you? Of course not. So we're going to say would. We're using would to talk about hypothetical situations. It's never will. We use will to talk about the future, about real things, okay? But when we're talking about imaginary situations, we're using would. It's never will, okay? Never. So, in your books, people, I want you to complete the rule box in here. We said that with the if clause, we're going to use the past simple and then comma, and we're going to use what plus could plus the base form of the verb. We're going to use would or could plus the base form of the verb. Okay, this is the rule whenever you're making situation sentences using type 2. Okay, conditional sentences type 2. Now, the second part of the grammar, the second grammar lesson is really similar to type 2. It's called wishes. Okay, I want you to read the grammar box with me in here. We use the word wish plus simple to make a wish about a present situations. Okay, let's read the example. It makes visitors wish they could go back. What is the tense in here? Is it present? Is it future? Is it past? It is past. Okay, so we are using the word wish to make wishes plus the past simple. It's always past after wish to make a wish about a present situation which we would like to be different. Okay, whenever you see the word wish, when do you make wishes? We're making wishes when we're talking about things that are unreal. Okay, so it's really similar to type 2. I wish I could fly. Okay, you're not going to say I wish I can fly. I wish I could fly. I wish I won the first prize. Okay, so we're using the word wish plus the past simple to make a wish about a present situation. I wish I could travel. I wish I could go out now, out of my house. Okay, it's always the past. And there is a note in here. I want you to focus and let's read it together. In conditional sentences type 2 and after the word wish, we usually use were. We've said this before, okay? It's always were. Whenever we're using conditional sentences type 2 or after wish, you're going to use the word were. You're going to use the helping verb were, okay? It's never was. So now let's complete the dialogue with the correct form of the verbs in brackets. There is no number 1. All right. I have a history project. What should I do? If I blank you, I blank down to the library. So, what is be? What is verb be? We know that verb be means is, am, or are in the present and was and were in the past, right? So here we have if I, conditional sentence number 2, because I'm giving you an advice and there is no way I'm gonna be you. We're going to say if I were you, I would go down to the library. Okay, we said we're going to use would or could plus the base form of the verb. Okay, it's not went. Do not get confused between conditional sentences type 2 and the word wish. Okay, wish grammar. Type 2 with the main part, you're going to use would or could plus the base form. All right, next. I did that, but I want some more information. I wish I, Is it have, has, having? What do you think? I wish I had. We said after wish, we're always going to use the past. I wish I had an internet connection. Then I'd be able to find lots of things to write about. Allison is saying, doesn't Jane have an internet connection? Doesn't she? No, unfortunately, she doesn't. If she, we said with the F clause, we're going to use what tense? If she had one, with the main part, we're going to use what or what? I would be at her place, or I could be at her place. Finally, I really, right now at the present, I really wish I could help you. Now, I hope I'm clear. We are done with this lesson. Have a nice day, everyone.